Welcome to another chat about starting your own photography business. One question we get a lot is people struggling to know how much they should charge as a freelancer or as a photographer. Are you charging per the hour? Are you charging per project? And how much should you charge for each of those things? So when starting out, I don't know, things might be different because of inflation and stuff. But like right now, how much do you think is? How would you even go about figuring out how much to charge?
I think what your time is worth, because I think there's a lot of different photo projects. Like a wedding would
Hmm.
be hourly, a sit down headshot would be just a one single pop. How much that is,
Hmm.
you need to figure out, I guess, what your time is worth from a day to day basis and an hourly to hourly basis, and then also where you live, what's competitive for that area, because in Los Angeles or New York, in a big city in London, it's going to be more than it would be, in the middle of the country or somewhere that's like not as populated. The price will probably go down.
Yeah.
So it's really, it depends on where you are, what you're worth, how you're starting. I think when I very first started in college, I put myself at $25 an hour
Hmm.
for editing or shooting, and then I would just adjust according to that. So if I was going to go do a headshot, I knew that would take 2 hours, and then I knew editing would take me probably like 2 hours. So
Hmm.
then that's $100.
Yeah.
But now it's a little bit different because
Yeah.
I'm faster, I
Hmm.
have better equipment, I have more education, and now I charge around $150 an hour for photography.
Hmm.
So it depends.
Okay. Any other thoughts to add, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest things to consider is, I mean, I always think hourly charging because it's really easy for people like, oh, can we just do a couple more? Oh, can we just? And it's, well, sure, but that's going to cost, more money.
Hmm.
Um, and making sure that you and your client are on the same page in terms of what you're delivering,
Hmm.
because that all equates to how much time you're going to spend on it. If you're just getting them one photo, that shouldn't take very long. But if you're taking thousands of photos and you have to go through and pick the best 100 photos and then edit them, you have to calculate, the amount of time you're going to spend on that.
Yeah.
But also, I remember there were some jobs starting off where I would drive, 45 minutes to the place and use X amount on gas. And then I have bought this camera that I spent X amount on and went to school and, all these things that add up in cost. And I was breaking even basically with how
Yeah.
much I was charging, which is fine starting off. But there's a certain point where if you want to do this professionally, and you need to know, like for yourself, how much money am I going to spend to go here, to use the equipment that I've invested money into, the time I've spent, learning this and researching how to do this well. Like your time is valuable. So,
Yeah.
but also knowing the market. Whenever I meet other photographers working at different things, I'm sometimes they share, sometimes they don't, sometimes personal, but it's interesting to know what the market is.
Hmm.
Um,
And I think that is so important. I mean, Will mentioned, and you kind of added that you need to know the market where you're at. It's going to be different. You can't just go, I think I did this, but you go on Google and say, how much should I charge as a photographer per hour? But you're getting answers from LA when you're living somewhere that it's not that expensive. So you do have to kind of compete with the other photographers in your market. And you can do that kind of stealth research by talking to people or going online and seeing what some people post their pricing on their own websites, and that's something you can look at. Or
don't do that.
yeah, that's actually a good question because I see people posting their pricing on their website and some people not. What's kind of like the pros and cons? I know as a client, like looking for wedding videography or photography, Will shot my wedding, but when we were researching that, it was nice to see on the website how much was it going to cost.
Yeah, it's great for the client.
Yeah, it's great for the client because people who didn't have their pricing, sometimes I wouldn't even bother asking.
That's true. I've seen the there's a happy medium. If we're talking about wedding photography, when we first started our wedding photography company, we decided not to put prices on there. We just put our wedding start at $2,000.
Hmm.
Please contact us for more information or for a quote, because
Yeah,
every
that's
There's a base price.
yeah, it's a base price, so you know
And
what
then
you're getting
packages.
into, and then at that point we'll send them something, or we'll sort of tell them like, these are our packages, but let's talk about it. Let's work something out. Let's see where your budget's at. Maybe we can find a happy medium, because you're providing a service, not a product, and so
You have to be able to negotiate. You have to be able to, be personable. Talk to your clients and say, so I charge $150 an hour, but it's a great cause, or your family or your
Hmm.
friend, you know, what is your budget? Like, let's be honest about this. You have to be able to talk business
Yeah.
and be comfortable with that. And it's not that you're trying to rip them off. You're like, yeah, this is how much I want to be charging as a photographer. And even if it seems absurd to you, like set that price and then say, but I'm flexible. Let's figure this out. And
Yeah.
maybe you end up doing $75 and they feel like they've, you know, won something because they got a 50% discount. But really for you, you're like, sweet, I'm going to make $75 an hour. And it works both ways.
It's such a balance too. I mean, you're a business owner, you're a salesperson, you're a technician because you have to know what you're going to use, and you're an artist. And so there may be some weddings that you really want to take because it's going to help your portfolio and you're going to help get photos later, or there's photography things that you want to do so that it'll help your business later. So you're really balancing all four of those things in pricing, in negotiating, in being personable.
Well, yeah, and at the end of the day, you have to consider that you're paying taxes on this money. So, you say you're charging $50 an hour starting out, which sounds awesome, but as a freelancer, you're paying extra taxes on that, at least in the States. This is going to be different other places, but you pay the extra self-employment tax. You are in charge of everything else, like you said, marketing, communication.
Your camera's going to be out of date in 3 years. You're going to have to buy another one.
So you have to really sit down and calculate how much do you need to make per month, basically, as a freelancer, and you got to get those jobs. Yeah, you got to get those jobs.
And you need to not feel guilty when asking people for money that might seem like a lot.
Oh, it's the hardest part.
It's really hard. Yeah, it's like you feel guilty in a way, but at the same time, at this point, I've invested 10 years of my life or however long doing this, and I know my cameras well. I know I'll get great shots. So, time is money, and you're good at what you do, so you should charge X amount.
I think that's what they're paying for, though, right? I always struggled with it, and I had some comparison. Someone told me a story of why can't I just get my nephew Billy over here? I could pay him $50 and he can shoot the wedding. I'm like, yeah, well, your little nephew hasn't spent 10 years of his life shooting weddings, practicing, investing time into looking up practices, having equipment, education. You've gone to school for it. You've taken online classes. You've really invested this time, and that's what your client is putting money into you for. You have to make sure that you're valuable.
But then also, if you go and do that, work your butt off when you're taking photos. Do a good job, get great photos. Every job is going to lead to potentially 10 more jobs or however many, and all those photos you take are part of your portfolio now. So if you're going to do this, do it right, do it well, and if you're going to start charging more, make sure that you're delivering a great product. A lot of times people, I don't know, it goes back and forth with what is the cost of 5 photos? How do you put that into a number?
Yeah, is it about this number of photos, or is it just capturing that moment or that event? Now you have it captured in a beautiful way, and it doesn't matter how long you were working on it, because at the end of the day, they just have the few photos, and it's hopefully worth it to them. So I think one more thing, I'll just kind of recap. I think the idea about putting the base price on the website is a great idea for you, because it does kind of weed out potential customers that you have to spend time saying, okay, sending your prices. And if you're way too expensive for them from your base price, you don't have to spend that time. So I love that idea about doing that. But as you can see, we go down these rabbit holes with these topics, but we hope you enjoyed this video. And if you have other questions about how much to charge or anything like that, please let us know, and have a great day.